Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I took a set of stock 350Z headlights and retrofitted them into these. All I did on these to make them different was change the bezel color on the inside from chrome to black. Now this isn't completely finished yet. I still need to repolish out this lens. This lens is really not in the greatest of conditions. But in addition to adding the black bezels on these, what I also did is I added this this sequential color changing strip that goes from white to amber. This is going to be my new turn signal for it. And then I added these RGB color changing halos. And I'm just going to walk you through the whole process on how I went from that to this. For starters, I'm going to flip the headlight upside down. And as you can see, there's all these like little screws that hold the headlight together. So there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here on the bottom, and then there's one that's hiding right there. I'm going to take all of those off around the edge first, and then once you take all of those off, then I can heat it so that then it can actually separate the correct way, because if I don't, the headlight's not going to ever come apart. I'm going to take a heat gun, and on headlights there's this stuff, it's called, I don't remember what the stuff is called. I'm going to take a heat gun and I'm going to heat all around the edge of the headlight until the clear lens just has enough give to just pop straight off. Okay, well, I'm getting somewhere. It's just taking me way longer than it should. The other method you could use to do this is by putting it in the oven, but I didn't want to put mine in my oven, so... because I'd leave it in there too long and I'd burn the whole thing and then I'd have no headlight, so... so I'm using a heat gun. Like 15 minutes later, but I finally have some progress. So I have it separated up to here, and then you have all this like little... this black stuff, goo, in the inside of your headlight. When you're separating it, what you want to do is you want to like get a screwdriver or something and get all that stuff out of the way so it doesn't touch the stuff on the inside. Touches the inside, you're screwed. You're done. Like, no point in using this. Gross. Okay, now about after an hour of struggling to separate that bottom part from this top part, I need to take this out, the bezel out, because that's the only part I need, and I gotta make sure I don't really mess up the lens, because if you mess up the lens, then you're screwed. So to take the bezel out, there's a screw here, and a screw here, and that's about it. Inside the headlights, there's also these little clips on the corners that hold it in. You just gotta make sure you gotta pop it off of those. Oh, there's the chips. And haha. That comes right out. The lens, the inside of the lens is the one thing you don't want to touch. So this is just gonna get placed right back on top of here for now, so nothing gets on the inside. And then this can get put off to the side, and then I'm just gonna be working on the bezel part. The bezel on headlights is the part that like actually gets most of the stuff done to it. So like the RGB, the halo will get mounted onto here. So what I'm gonna end up doing is taking this silver piece that goes around the projector lens off, and then once I take this off, ooh, there's a little buggy bug right here. Gross. This plastic piece has to come off, and this can't get touched because it's plastic, and you'll see fingerprints on it as I'm touching it, but I mean the back, this side can't get touched. And then that like little color changing strip will go from here, run along, and that little strip I'm actually going to use as my daytime running lights, but I'll show you guys that stuff more in detail once this gets painted and I'm ready to do work on this better, more, put that stuff, and then gotta seal it up, and then it's done. And just like that with some editing, it is now the next day. Now this thing isn't the ugly chrome color it was originally, now it's black. I just used a can of black spray paint. You can get that anywhere. I bought mine at Home Depot. It took 2 coats to paint other than that, so now this is black and this is black. The stuff that I'm actually going to be using to make the headlights do the RGB and like the sequential switchback switch I'm using. The switch I'm using this DRL light strip. It's a sequential, so it switches from white to amber. I bought this on Amazon. I'll leave the link down below. And then in this box, I actually have my RGB halos. And this includes the halos, the management that hooks up to the battery. This part actually is a Bluetooth, so I can control the color changing modes from my phone. These are just extensions, so if you need to extend the harness, you don't have to cut it or anything. It's the exact same. It's just plug and play, so just plug it in here and plug it in here. Right now is getting this halo ring mounted on this, I don't know what you would call this part of the bezel, but like my focus is going to be to mount this here. So how I did it on the other one is ran the wires through, and then actually these wires touch here on this, on the bottom part. So what you have to do is I'm going to have to like chisel a little piece out of here, and then so I can get the wires to sit flush. Otherwise the halo wants to sit like that. I don't know how well the camera's gonna be able to pick this up, but yeah, that's all you need. It's that little notch in the plastic. So from here, let's actually undo this wire. Ooh. So from here, gonna feed the wire through the back side of this, and then that little wire sits, or group of wires sits right there. And see what that allows us to do is sit on this bezel like nice and flush. So like that's what it'll look like when it's on there. I'm actually using this like adhesive, like double-sided tape that comes provided on here, like as a base to stick it. And then I'll show you what I'm doing from there. So once I get this on, I'll show you. This halo kit for my headlights, for some reason, I don't know what they did, but it doesn't sit completely on this circle. So like the only 2 points of contact this halo has on here is on these two like outer parts, that like these side pieces. So there's actually like this gap in between the halo and this, so it's only touching here and here. So what I'm actually doing to make sure like this doesn't come off, since I'm not using all of the tape, is I'm actually just using some fishing wire, and I'm gonna drill a hole, like a small hole right here, and that fishing wire is gonna run through two of these LEDs, and then it's just gonna hold it there and hold it here to make sure like it never falls off. Now that little piece of fishing line is there, and like you don't see that. It runs right in between the two LEDs, and all like that's doing is holding that in place. From that far away, you do see my hole, but I mean, it doesn't look terrible. Getting that part back on here is a mission. I actually have to take out all these like little screws and then take this whole thing apart to get that back on here. Originally holding that in, there's a screw here and there's a screw here. Once you take that off, they're not there obviously. You just gotta take this screw off, and there's another screw here, and then this whole back piece pops straight off. Now with those 3 screws removed, this piece just slides off like that. And then that actually doesn't attach to this piece. This piece is just like that, like the other piece. This attaches to here, and how it attaches is there's actually these 2 little tabs here, and they go onto these tabs, goes above it. So you just gotta make sure, like, if you're gonna do this to your headlights, that when taken apart, if it doesn't, like, all this stuff doesn't force into place. So if you're forcing something, it's more than likely gonna break. So you just gotta like take your time and actually do it. See, tab 1, tab 2 in. There's this bottom one too. This is the hardest part of this whole, like, taking this part off. That's that tab. And then there's a screw hole here and a screw hole here. Everything lines up exactly where it should, and then like that's back in place. All I gotta do is put the screws back in. Bam. Now I actually have my halo installed on this. Now that's what that looks like. So the last thing is for this part is getting the LED strip attached to this. And what you get inside this box is 2, they're like flexible, just sequential, they're just white. This is what you get with this. So it's the LED strip. With the link, there's like 3 different sizes for this one. I'm going for a U shape, so the way this sits is it's gonna go from here to like here, and then the wires will go through this hole right here, and then they'll come out the back just like this one. There's 3 lengths for this. I went with 17-inch. There's also a 12-inch and there's a 24-inch, I believe. I went with the 17, it's the middle one. If you want something longer, so if you wanted like this to go from here like all the way around, then you probably get the 24. If you wanted something shorter, you can get the 12. I think it's 12. If you want to do something like mine, it's 17. I'm gonna do what you do. And bam. I hope this camera angle's good. So what we're gonna do right now is I'm gonna take this back off and I'm gonna start prepping this to get the bezel back in here. Inside of this headlight is absolutely disgusting, so I'm just gonna take a disinfecting wipe and I'm just gonna like wipe all this down. It looks so bad. Yeah, I didn't want to put this disgusting headlight back. Like, if this looked like this, I would not have put it back in there. Like, I didn't want it to look this bad. when it's together. So, and honestly, if it's open, might as well clean the inside. It'll make me feel a little better because, like, look at this. It's disgusting. So the product I'm using to reseal these things, this is such a weird angle. It's called this retro rubber resealing glue. I'll leave the link from where I got this. Basically all it is just replacement black seal. It's stretchy. Then I'm just gonna put in this channel. It's that stuff that you saw come off at the beginning, and then I'll heat it up, stick the lens back on, and they're good.